Today, our fellow citizens, our way of life, our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts. Terrorist attacks can shake the foundations of our biggest buildings, but they cannot touch the foundation of America. These acts shatter steel, but they cannot dent the steel of American resolve. America was targeted for attack because we're the brightest beacon for freedom and opportunity in the world, and no one will keep that light from shining.
Good evening to you. I'm Keith Edwards.
And I'm Melissa Long. And that was, of course, President Bush as he addressed the nation on what is the worst terrorist attack on U.S. soil in history.
What many believed would never happen here became reality this morning as two hijacked airlines crashed into the World Trade Center, eventually reducing the New York landmarks to rubble. The attack happened just after 8:30 New York time when the first airliner slammed into the North Tower, and then 18 minutes later, a second plane crashed into the South Tower. About an hour after that, a third plane crashed into the Pentagon. Untold numbers of people are dead, as well as tens of thousands injured. President Bush is calling for swift action against those responsible.
The search is underway for those who are behind these evil acts. I've directed the full resources of our intelligence and law enforcement communities to find those responsible and to bring them to justice. We will make no distinction between the terrorists who committed these acts and those who harbored them.
President Bush went on to say it will be business as usual for the federal government tomorrow and that every branch affected by today's attacks will be full and operational. Now, the attacks on New York and Washington today shocked the world, including all of us right here in Fort Wayne.
And the feelings of helplessness and anger that prevailed left many with nowhere to turn but to their faith. And a number of area churches held special services. 21 Alive's Diana Lee takes us to one prayer service.
As people are trying to grapple with the thousands of lives that have been torn apart, many turn to their faith. At Black Hawk Baptist Church, dozens of people gathered to pray together.
In our opinion, as believers, there's really only one thing we can do, and that's pray for everybody that's been affected in our country and just pray for our leadership.
That's why we're here, is to offer a prayer for all those survivors and for those that passed away in this terrible fracas.
America needs to get back to God.
Those who came were asked to pray specifically for three things: for the president and our leaders, for the families whose lives were shattered, and for a spiritual renewal of Americans.
Very definitely. I think this is one thing that this nation, the people are going to be turning to prayer, and that's very important.
Tonight, the Congress saying, God bless America. This is the best nation in the world, and we need to pray for it.
Shock beyond belief, could not believe it. But after thinking it all over and knowing it, I know God's in control, and we have to trust Him for what He has for us.
Yeah, I feel like I feel for them, because if it was me in that spot, I would want people praying for me too.
People sending up whispered prayers, hoping to find and give comfort. Diana Lee, 21 Alive News.
Well, emotions are obviously running all over the place across the country tonight, and many of us are thinking about how all of this is affecting our children.
Area schools are gearing up to deal with that subject tomorrow. Corinne Rose joins us now live in the newsroom to tell us how. Corinne?
Well, Keith and Melissa, I talked to Allen County superintendents tonight, and they tell me that they want to make life as normal as possible for their students tomorrow. At Fort Wayne Community Schools, I-STEP testing continues. There will be counselors on hand, and teachers will talk to their students in small groups. At East Allen County Schools, I-STEP testing continues as scheduled. Counselors will be on hand to talk to kids, and each school building will decide how to talk to its students about the attack. And over at Northwest Allen County Schools, Superintendent Steve Yeager tells me tonight that I-STEP testing will continue, but that the graduation qualifying exam has been moved to Friday. The district will also have counselors on hand to talk to the students, and the administrators already talked to students today. Now, Southwest Allen County Superintendent was not available for comment tonight. Keith and Melissa, we're all hoping it's gets back to business as usual tomorrow. Back to you.
All right, and so does everyone else. Thank you, Corinne. Well, the terrorist attacks on the U.S. have affected Americans in an unusual way.
Numerous people across the country, as well as those here in Fort Wayne, have been rushing to the gas station since this morning's events. And 21 Alive's Jeanette Liu joins us live from the BP station on Coliseum Boulevard. Jeanette, what is everyone's fear? Jeanette?
Melissa, folks are worried about soaring gas prices with the fear of a fuel shortage because of today's disasters. Now, people have been lining up throughout the day at service stations all across town. AAA officials in Fort Wayne say that at around noon, gas prices were about $1.60 a gallon. But by 2 this afternoon, prices rose to about $1.89 at most local stations. Across the state, prices have, for the most part, remained steady except for one Indianapolis suburb where the price went up to $4.79 a gallon. State leaders say people should not panic, and one petroleum industry official says at least in the short term, the attacks will likely have little impact on fuel supplies, although crude oil prices did increase shortly after the attacks. The PP stations are one of the few in Fort Wayne that have kept their prices down, and folks have been taking advantage of them.
I was told that the gas prices were going up, and when I was coming down Spy Run, I saw that this station still had their gas for $1.64, so I couldn't pass that by. I'm topping off my tank.
It's a panic situation. It's a horrific type of a thing that we're going through. I mean, it's nothing that we've ever seen before, so I think it's a natural reaction. But I think we'll live through it.
Now, there have been some problems, nothing serious, where folks have gotten upset at others for cutting in lines, but security for the BP stations have kept things in order. Now, the governor's office says Governor O'Bannon wants the petroleum industry and gas station owners to avoid panic and come together. Reporting live from Coliseum Boulevard, I'm 21 Alive's Jeanette Liu. Melissa?
Living in a country like America, it's easy to become complacent and feel as if this sort of thing would never really happen here. Students on the IPFW campus watched coverage on the day's events in stunned silence. Though many of the younger students expressed mostly disbelief over the attacks, others said it shadows a painful past.
This just scares me and makes me wonder if we'll ever go to war again, or, because there's a lot of young men that are here that would have to go, and since I lived through it once before, I noticed some of the kids downstairs who are much younger were kind of glib and not, too worried about it, and for me it brings back memories.
Another student told us he will soon not forget today's events and the havoc a few men have caused.
Well, the whole day seems kind of surreal, so let's turn to Curtis now for a little normalcy here.
Yes, thankfully at least the weather wasn't creating problems as it has at times during the summer, but today was quite lovely. In fact, lots of sunshine. We had a high of 77 degrees.
And thank you for joining us for this special edition on 21 Alive News at 10.
We now return you to ABC's national coverage of events in New York and Washington.